I think without a lot of ambition, it's almost impossible to get a career started because all the odds are really stacked against you.
In 1983, millions of viewers across America left movie theaters with a shared, inexplicable feeling. They remembered the ambitious young man sliding across the floor in a white shirt, but what truly stayed in their minds was the mysterious woman who stepped off the train. Calm, charming, unpredictable. She didn't appear often, didn't need lengthy monologues or emotionally charged scenes. Just a glance, a gentle smile, and the way she walked into the frame were enough to change everything. Her name was Rebecca De Mornay, and in just one summer, she became one of Hollywood's most talked-about faces. Interestingly, Rebecca never truly belonged anywhere. Born in 1959 in California as Rebecca Jane Perch, her childhood was unlike the typical stories of Hollywood stars growing up in the spotlight. Her parents divorced when she was very young. Her biological father had virtually disappeared from her life, and her stepfather, whom she bore the surname of, died when Rebecca was only 3 years old. Before she could fully comprehend the meaning of her loss, she and her mother left the United States to begin a completely different life in Europe. In the following years, Rebecca constantly moved between England, Austria, and many other cultural environments. She attended specialized schools, becoming fluent in German and French at a very young age. This constant change taught her to adapt, observe, and become multiple versions of herself. Later, when she entered the acting profession, this proved to be her greatest advantage. Rebecca understood the feeling of being caught between many worlds, but not belonging entirely to any one. In the early 1980s, she returned to Los Angeles to study acting. Without a powerful family backing her, and without a network of connections in the entertainment industry, Rebecca started out like thousands of other young actresses trying to find a small opportunity in this competitive city. She studied at the Lee Strasberg Academy, worked at Francis Ford Coppola's studio, and quietly appeared in very small roles. But sometimes, just one opportunity at the right time is enough to change a life. That opportunity came when director Paul Brickman was looking for a lead actress for his film Risky Business. Hundreds of candidates auditioned. The studios wanted a more famous, safer name. But Brickman saw something special in the young woman with a cool beauty and a demeanor very different from Hollywood. He chose Rebecca. That decision would change everything. When Risky Business was released in 1983, the film became a box office phenomenon. Tom Cruise became America's new star, and Rebecca De Mornay, at age 23, suddenly became the mysterious woman that all of Hollywood wanted to uncover. What no one knew at the time was that this success was only the first chapter in a much more complex journey. The success of Risky Business may have made Rebecca De Mornay an overnight star, but what set her apart from so many other Hollywood phenomena was that she didn't disappear after her initial success. Throughout the following years, Rebecca consistently proved that she wasn't just a pretty face who appeared at the right time. She was a true actress. While many young stars of the 1980s were trying to maintain attention with similar roles, Rebecca chose the more difficult path. She appeared in films with depth, worked with leading directors and actors, and steadily built her reputation through merit rather than glamour. 1985 marked a significant milestone. In the same year, Rebecca starred in 2 critically acclaimed films, The Trip to Bountiful and Runaway Train. These weren't easy commercial projects. They were works that demanded genuine acting. Standing alongside the big names of American cinema, Rebecca was never overshadowed. She brought a unique calmness, a subtle acting style that always left audiences feeling that there was much unspoken meaning behind her eyes. That's something Hollywood craves, but very few actors possess. The late 1980s saw Rebecca expand her scope of work. From film to stage, from art house to commercial films, she appeared everywhere while maintaining her distinct identity. Meanwhile, her personal life was also frequently scrutinized by the press, especially after her famous relationship with Tom Cruise. However, unlike many of her contemporaries, Rebecca didn't let her private life overshadow her career. She wanted to be remembered as an actress, not just a figure constantly appearing in entertainment news. Then, in 1991, she starred in Backdraft, one of the biggest blockbusters of the time. The film was a resounding success and brought Rebecca closer to the mainstream audience. But all her previous achievements were merely preparation for the role that would define her entire career. In early 1992, Rebecca appeared in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle as Peyton Flanders, the nanny. On the surface, Peyton embodied gentleness and trustworthiness, but behind that perfect smile lay cold hatred and a terrifying revenge plan. Rebecca didn't play the villain in the usual way. She didn't scream, didn't exaggerate, didn't turn the character into a monster. Instead, she made Peyton terrifying with absolute calmness. Audiences were captivated and gradually realized they were witnessing one of the most memorable female villains in 1990s film history. The film quickly became a box office phenomenon, topping the box office for many consecutive weeks. Rebecca De Mornay was then 32 years old and at the peak of her career. Magazines called her the most dangerous woman in Hollywood. Film studios wanted her in every project. But what no one realized was that Peyton Flanders' immense success was also subtly changing the course of Rebecca De Mornay's entire career. From the outside, many might think Rebecca De Mornay made some kind of mistake after the success of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Because what happened next seemed illogical. An actress who had just delivered one of the most memorable performances of the 1990s should have gone straight to A-list superstardom. But instead of rising higher, her career began to take a different turn. Not because she lost her talent, not because audiences turned their backs on her, but because Hollywood was changing faster than anyone realized. The early 1990s were a time when studios began betting more and more on massive blockbusters, franchises that could sell tickets worldwide. Complex, psychologically multi-layered characters gave way to more recognizable figures. In that environment, Rebecca faced a problem that many talented actresses had also encountered. Her greatest success inadvertently became a box that imprisoned her. After Peyton Flanders, producers consistently saw in Rebecca the image of a mysterious, cold, and dangerous woman. The offers became increasingly similar. The characters were written using the same formula. Hollywood was no longer looking for Rebecca De Mornay. They were looking for a different version of Peyton Flanders. Rebecca continued working. She appeared in Guilty as Sin, The Three Musketeers, and even produced some of her own projects. But as the mid-1990s approached, the differences began to become apparent. The films she starred in were no longer the most talked-about projects of the year. The top directors who had once sought her out were now focusing on a new generation of actors. It wasn't a sudden collapse. It was more like the spotlight slowly shifted elsewhere, while she remained on stage. During this period, Rebecca also made choices that Hollywood didn't always understand. She didn't live solely for fame. She dedicated time to the stage, to smaller artistic projects, and to her personal life. Her deep relationship with the legendary musician Leonard Cohen clearly reflects this. This wasn't the life of someone solely concerned with box office success. Rebecca was always drawn to things more complex, deeper, and more enduring. As the late 1990s approached, while many believed she was fading from Hollywood, the truth was quite different. Rebecca never left acting. She simply stepped away from the spotlight. She began appearing more on television, taking on more challenging roles, and even trying her hand at directing. It was a much less glamorous period, but it was also when Rebecca De Mornay proved that what she loved wasn't fame. What she truly loved was acting. And that choice would open the final, most special chapter of her career.
By the early 2000s, Rebecca De Mornay was in a very different position from her peak. Magazine covers no longer featured her weekly. Hollywood's biggest blockbusters no longer revolved around her name. For many stars, this is often a sign that their career is coming to an end. But for Rebecca, this was the moment she began to prove something important. There's a huge difference between a celebrity and an artist. Fame can come and go, but a true artist continues to work even when the spotlight has shifted to someone else. In the following years, Rebecca quietly built a new chapter in her career. She appeared in Identity, Wedding Crashers, and various television projects. No longer the lead actress in multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns, she now focused on engaging roles, characters with depth, and stories that truly resonated with her. That was a much more mature approach to her profession compared to the years spent chasing fame. Then, in 2015, a whole new generation of viewers unexpectedly discovered Rebecca De Mornay. In Marvel's Jessica Jones series, she played Dorothy Walker, a controlling, manipulative, and deeply wounded mother. This wasn't the loud, flashy type of villain. Dorothy was terrifying because she was so real. Rebecca brought a familiar chill to the character, the same chill that had made Peyton Flanders a nightmare for millions of viewers more than 2 decades earlier. Younger viewers began to learn who she was, and when they looked back at Rebecca's career, they realized something interesting. Whether at 25, 35, or 55, she always possessed the same special quality. Every time she appeared on screen, viewers felt that beneath that calm exterior lay a much more complex story. What makes Rebecca De Mornay's story special isn't the number of awards or box office success. In fact, she never quite reached the status of Hollywood's biggest commercial superstars. But that wasn't her goal either. For over 4 decades, Rebecca has constantly transitioned between film, television, stage, production, and directing. When Hollywood wanted her to be a fixed role model, she sought something new. When the industry tried to pigeonhole her into a single type of role, she moved in a different direction. Perhaps that's why it's so difficult to tell Rebecca's story as a story of downfall. She didn't really disappear. She wasn't defeated. She simply refused to live up to Hollywood's expectations. From the young girl stepping off the train in Risky Business, to the terrifying nanny in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, to the wounded mother in Jessica Jones, Rebecca De Mornay never stopped doing what she did best. It's not about being the biggest star in the room. It's about being someone the audience remembers long after the movie ends. And sometimes, that's the rarest kind of success in Hollywood.